tutorial I'm going to show you how to start up in ZBrush. This is pretty much the biggest roadblock. It's really intimidating to start because it is so different than what most of us are used to. So let's get started and hopefully you guys can be on your way. So we can go ahead and just hide this lightbox panel that is going to come up every time. It is good to know though that there's little links up in here if you wanted a previous document or pre-existing tools, but we're just going to hide it right now. So ZBrush works on polygons like Maya does, but they're called tools. So instead of models and stuff that you would have in Maya that you can place in a scene, you're going to work with individual tools. So you can open up the shortcut box right here. You can see that we have primitives like cubes and spheres and stuff. And if you had a custom model, it would be in here also, which we'll talk about in a later section. So when you select one of them, it'll come up here, but it doesn't show up. So you have to drag on to the screen to get it up on in the workspace. So there's different processes, to get an end model. I like to work with Z-spheres, and it's a little bit extra step, but it really is better in the end. And once we'll get to a certain step, you'll see that the process is identical from there on. So let's go ahead and start with a Z-sphere. I highly recommend it for any type of organic modeling. It's basically just setting in like an armature. If you think of it as clay, this is the step where you put in the metal, body type just to hold some structure. That's a lot easier to edit too. So let's go ahead and select the Z-sphere, and we're going to click and drag it onto the workspace. So the golden rule is whenever you drag a tool into the workspace, you have to immediately press Edit up here. You can also press T, and you'll see it turn orange there. Basically, if you don't press that and you try to drag another tool on or something like that, it creates another tool and you can only edit that one, but the other one's still up there, and it just kind of screws stuff up. So drag one tool on, press Edit. If it does screw up or anything like that, just go up here to Document and just say New Document. Everything that you've loaded in there should be the same, and it's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to clear out the workspace. So now that we have Edit on, we can use the camera tools. They're really different. If you click outside the model, you can move it, rotate it around to see it. If you hold Option or Alt and click, it'll pan it around. And the weird one is if you hold Alt and click, and then you let go of Alt while you're still holding down the click, you can zoom in and out. It's very strange, but you'll get used to it. It is important to know that you have to click outside of the model. You can't click on the model while you're doing any of those, because then it is going to edit it. It's not like Maya where you can just hold the Alt and pan the camera around. But if you were really up close and you didn't have space to click outside or anything like that, you can use these three buttons, and they're basically going to control the camera. You just click on it and move your mouse, and you can rotate it around and stuff like that. So now that we're in edit mode, we are also in draw mode up here. So draw mode is going to allow us to sculpt. So right now you can see that I've got a little indicator on the surface of where I would put the next Z-sphere, which is going to be connected to it. It's going to start our armature. I want to work in symmetry though, so you can see I only have one axis right now that's moving around. So let's go to Transform and activate symmetry. So sometimes symmetry can be odd. My best suggestion is just to change the axis of symmetry to see if it's suited for what you want to do. So here you can see that I've got them right here. So when it turns green, snaps together, that's my center line, that's my line of symmetry, and then they're split on either side. So let's go ahead and add Z-spheres. So we're going to click and drag them on there. Now you see they are connected. And it's also following our symmetry. So if we want only one, in the center of it, we would just wait till it snaps together and we can add it there. So if that was like a head and these are start your shoulders or whatever you want, we would work like that. So once we get them on there, we can edit them by using move, scale, and rotate up here. So we're going to click move, and now we can move these Z-spheres. You can scale them. And rotate is useful if we had another Z-sphere. Oh, let me get back in draw mode. If we have another Z-sphere out here, and let's move it out a little bit. If you want this distance to stay the same, you can use rotate, and that way the distance will stay the same, and you can just rotate it around. So this is where you would basically set up the general form